Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about who wins the breakup.
Who's going to be the ref?
This is war.
Yeah.
Forget a ref. This is war. We're going to need NATO to intervene.
But we all know what it feels like when you're in a breakup and you're almost trying to one-up your ex. Our egos get shot in a breakup.
Yes.
You know, it's something to where it's hard not to take personally. If you were invested in a person, you were vulnerable to this person, you were thinking about building a life with this person, when it ends, and when it ends unilaterally, meaning the other person made the decision for the both of you, that can be a straight shot to the heart.
Absolutely. And if you know us and the 2,500 plus videos that we have, you stick to what we tell you to do and you're going to win this breakup. Okay? I will make sure of it. But you got to do what we tell you to do, right? You can't just cherry pick. You got to do the personal growth. You have to work on those issues that you've got.
Right. And we want to reframe a little bit about what it means to win the breakup.
Utter destruction?
So there can be this sense of who's doing better after the breakup. There can be a sense of competitiveness. And even if it's in your head, you're not having these conversations with your ex being like, well, I just got a new job and I just moved to a really nice apartment. You know, we know that you're not having these kind of conversations, but you might be doing these calculations in your own mind.
Yeah.
Well, how am I doing versus how are they doing? Are they happy? Are they not? Are they in a better position? Are they not? And I think part of the root of this is, am I valuable? A lot of times in relationships, we can derive some value validation from our partner. Somebody loves us. Somebody's giving us attention. It feels nice. It feels good. We feel worthy. We feel like somebody is interested in us.
Yeah.
And so when a breakup happens, then, you know, we start to try to rebuild who we are, and we want to almost prove our own value to ourselves.
Yeah. And it's almost like we feel like we have no value when we're going through that. Like they don't want us. We've been abandoned. And we just kind of feel, in some ways, worthless.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we want to have some kind of control over that. So mentally, we say, if our ex is doing worse off, then that means I added so much value to their life.
Yeah.
And I'm just the best thing for them. I'm just amazing. Or if they're doing better, then we think, oh my gosh, was I such a burden? Maybe I had been holding them down. Maybe I had been terrible for them. So we try to assess how valuable we are in general based on how our ex is doing. Yeah. And this type of thinking is really limiting, and it doesn't really consider how breakups actually work.
Wait, it goes beyond this?
Yeah. You can't just say, is my ex
I don't know about that.
Doing good or bad, and that says a lot about me.
If I'm doing better than them, then I'm winning this breakup. That's not, we don't leave it at just that?
No, there's a lot more to it.
Like what?
Okay, there's a break there because Craig got me. But what I mean is there are stages after the breakup. Initially, exes will feel relief. So it could look like they're doing better initially after the breakup. Does that really determine how valuable you were to them or how valuable you are in general? No, it's just them going through the stages after a breakup.
And they're going to try and present like they're doing really good. And then you often find out, sometimes much later, that they weren't doing good at all. And you're like, here, I thought you were doing so good and you were so happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So there can be a lot of factors in their life too. Like how they present themselves on social media could be very different than what's actually going on. Sometimes breakups happen because of overwhelming life stress, grief, family issues. There's so many different reasons for the breakup. And so
depression,
that's why it's
mental health issues.
Yeah. It's hard to pinpoint, well, how they're doing then determines my value. How they're doing is how they're doing. It says a lot more about them and their life. So try not to make those kind of value judgments about yourself based off of their life.
And remember that even if they are, quote unquote, doing better right now, it doesn't mean they'll always be doing better, right? So you got to keep focusing on that personal growth and what makes you happy and getting to a great place. Yeah. And then you can get to a truly confident place.
Sometimes what I see after a breakup, particularly if you are more avoidant, is you kind of get into this mindset of who cares less. So you get into no contact, not necessarily to give them space, but to come across as, oh, I'm unbothered. Sometimes we do see avoidance get super anxious after a breakup too, don't get me wrong. But there can also be this competition of the person who is less bothered by the breakup wins because they're more quote unquote emotionally strong. And this can be another trap. Some of you will involve other people and try to sleep with other people, move on really quickly after a breakup to fill in that void and to act like you're not caring, to try to stop caring. But we know that that doesn't work very well. In fact, it makes things quite messy some of the time.
Yeah, it usually makes things a lot worse in different ways. It's tough to go through all these raw feelings and feel so vulnerable in so many different ways. And you're kind of feeling alone and sad and hurt and betrayed. And you're just going through so many different feelings that probably you've not felt before, or maybe only felt in a previous breakup before. Mm-hmm. So you gotta use this time to heal, to process, to get to a good place. You know, no contact really allows you to do that. If you keep showing up in their life in different ways, if you're trying to make them jealous or be petty in those kind of ways, they're going to see through it. Mm-hmm. And they're going to know you're struggling. They're going to know you're not doing so good, because that's not what people truly do when they are doing well.
Right. And when we talk about no contact, it's really centered around giving your ex space out of respect. It's not this game of, well, I don't care, and so I'm not going to reach out. It's more so, okay, you decided to end the relationship. I'm going to respect those wishes and give you space to experience what life is like without me. So You're basically saying, I'm opting out of this little game. Now, some exes, some people will go into playing games. We have other videos on game playing, if you will, in relationships. But when we talk about no contact, it's out of respect. Sometimes when we're trying to show that we don't care, we end up showing that we care 10 times more, and people can see right through it.
A lot of you guys are making big mistakes on social media. I'd much rather you post very rarely or very little right now, because you get emotional and you show those cracks with those songs or those comments about dating a narcissist or these little things, and they know it's about them and they know you're not doing well, right? So you're letting them know indirectly. So you want to look at it as the only way to win the breakup is to consider how you're responding to the breakup and what are you doing with everything that happened. Are you focusing on healing, getting to a good place emotionally, learning to be more confident, learning the skills to be a better partner, learning emotional self-control? So many of the things that we talk about on this channel will truly help you become a better person for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And we want you to think about this little competition you might be playing in your mind. Think about the bigger picture here. When you look back at how you've handled this breakup, are you going to be able to say, okay, I handled this with grace, I handled this with respect, I was able to practice emotional self-control, I learned a whole lot about relationships and attachment styles? That's our hope for you. That's the win, is outside of whatever the heck your ex is doing. If they're in Timbuktu, if they're somewhere else, regardless of what they're doing, this would be a win for you if you're able to respond in a way that you're proud of. And that's ultimately what we want.
And ultimately, you also don't want to let it be about this ego thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, this was somebody that you loved or deeply cared about. And ideally, you really want them to be happy if it doesn't work out with you, right? That would be the best place you could be, not necessarily right now.
Right.
But ultimately, you know, you're looking to see if you can repair this. And if you do repair it or do have a chance to repair it, you want to be in a healthy place. It's not about winning. Like, if you get them back, it's not like, oh, I won. Okay, you were with this person before. Like, don't you want to have something healthy and meaningful? I mean, that's really what it's supposed to be about, is somebody being in your life and you're making life better with this person and making memories and enjoying life together. So you don't really want it to be about an ego issue. Now, in that breakup, it does feel like
Oh, yeah.
an ego, like war. I
Because
want to
you feel
win.
so vulnerable, and you feel a lot of times you can feel so worthless in a breakup.
Yeah.
Like this person I cared so much about doesn't want anything to do with me, and that can be brutal. But that's exactly what we're talking about, is getting to that place where you do build up your own confidence, to where you don't fall back on easy ways to boost your ego and this kind of false sense of confidence, but rather those building blocks that, okay, what am I feeling? What am I going through? How can I find support in my life? Those real building blocks that build that real confidence.
Many of you will hear from your ex and will have an opportunity to turn it around. And if you're really focusing on being the best version of yourself, you'll know how to show up better when they come back and give it the best chance to turn things around. Some of you won't get a chance to turn things around with your ex for a lot of different reasons. And if that doesn't happen, then you can focus on, well, how can I have an awesome life, regardless of not being with this person anymore? And maybe you can secretly in the back of your mind think, oh, I'm glad I'm doing better than them. It's okay. It's okay. I think Margaret would even be like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right? Margaret would be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You can have a little bit of that too if you need to.
Margaret would always say, she would talk about the other side of ego. Ego can be self-protective in a lot of ways too. I think ego can sometimes get a bad rap.
Yeah.
But we don't want you to act in ways that will, give you this false sense of security or control. There is that part of you that wants to protect yourself, that's trying to stand up for you and saying, hey, I am worthy, I am worth something. But it might not be going about it in the way that you think.
A lot to think about.
Yeah.
Hopefully this one's been helpful for you. If you'd like to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. Coach Victoria is also available for Zoom calls.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. That's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.